English podcast.
From Learn English with Joy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Learn English with Joy. I'm Chris, and I'm so happy you're here today. Whether you're listening at home, on your way to work, or maybe sitting in your favorite cafe, thank you for joining us.
Today, we're talking about one of the most useful skills you can learn in English: how to order food at a restaurant.
That's right, and this is something you'll probably do many times, whether you're traveling, living abroad, or just practicing English in your hometown.
Yes, and I have to say, this topic is close to my heart. When I first started learning English, I thought ordering food would be easy. I mean, how hard could it be, right?
But I think you had a little surprise, didn't you?
Oh, yes. The first time I went to a restaurant in the United States, I tried to order a salmon salad, but I pronounced salmon with the L sound. The server looked confused, and I ended up with a side salad instead.
That must have been frustrating.
I was so embarrassed, but I learned something important that day.
And that's why this topic matters so much. Ordering food is not just about knowing the names of dishes.
Exactly. You also need polite phrases, the right tone, and even some cultural knowledge, because the way people order food can be very different from country to country.
That's why today, we'll walk you through 4 key stages of eating at a restaurant in English: arriving and getting a table, looking at the menu and ordering, asking for something extra during the meal, and paying the bill before leaving.
We'll give you useful phrases, real-life examples, and tips to sound polite and confident. And of course, we'll have some fun along the way.
So if you can, grab a notebook or open your phone's notes app. Write down the new words and phrases. And don't just write them, practice saying them out loud. Repeat them with us.
Are you ready? Let's get started. Your journey to ordering food in English with confidence begins right now. And honestly, it can be full of surprises.
Yes, back in my hometown, it's so simple. You walk in, pick a table, sit down, and someone comes to take your order.
But it's not always like that, is it?
Not at all. The first time I went to a restaurant in the UK, wow, I had no idea I had to wait at the entrance for someone to seat me.
I had the exact same experience. I went into a restaurant in London, saw an empty table, and sat down. I thought, perfect, I found a good spot.
But then something happened, right?
Yes. A server came over with a polite smile and said, "Excuse me, would you mind waiting to be seated?" I was so embarrassed. I stood up right away.
And joining us now are 2 familiar voices that I know our listeners love: Mark and Alexander.
Yes, Mark is our quiet, thoughtful friend who always notices the little details, especially when it comes to language and culture. And Alexander, well, he brings the humor, the charm, and just a little bit of mischief.
I'll take that as a compliment. I guess I'm here to keep things calm and grounded.
And I'm here to make sure nobody gets too serious. But really, I also love sharing the fun side of learning English. Those moments when things go wrong, and you end up laughing about it later.
That's exactly why we wanted you both here today. Ordering food can be smooth and simple, but it can also lead to some very interesting stories.
Absolutely, it's a skill you can practice in so many different situations. And every time you do, you're building confidence, not just in your English, but in yourself.
And if you're anything like me, you'll probably make a few hilarious mistakes along the way. Trust me, I have plenty of stories.
We can't wait to hear them. But first, let's set the scene. What's it really like to order food in English in a new country?
You walk in, you pick a table, you sit down, and someone comes to take your order.
But in other countries, especially English-speaking ones, the process can feel very different. That's a great example of how customs can be different from place to place. In many English-speaking countries like the UK, US, Canada, and Australia, it's normal to wait for a server at the entrance. And just so you know, server is the modern, polite, gender-neutral word for the person who takes care of you at a restaurant.
Right. In the past, people used waiter for a man and waitress for a woman, but server is simpler, respectful, and works for everyone.
Now, let's talk about what to say when you arrive. If you have a booking, you can say, Hello, we have a reservation. My name is. If you're alone, you say, I have a reservation. My name is. Simple and clear.
And if you don't have a reservation, it's just as easy. You can say, a table for two, please. Or, a table for four, please. You simply change the number, but always add please. That small word makes a big difference in politeness.
Yes, it's like a magic word. The server will almost always smile when they hear it. Sometimes they might even ask you, would you like to sit by the window or near the aisle? This is your chance to choose a spot you like.
Once you're seated, you'll get the menu. And here comes the fun part. Choosing your food.
The menu usually has several sections. First is the starter, or in American English, appetizer. This is a small dish you eat before the main meal.
Then comes the main course, also called main dish, which is the biggest part of your meal. After that, you might want a dessert, that sweet treat you enjoy at the end.
And of course, drinks or beverages, which could be water, juice, tea, coffee, or something else.
Now, if you're not ready to order, here's a polite way to say it. Could we have a little more time, please? And if you're curious about what's special that day, ask, what is today's special?
If you want advice, you can say, what do you recommend? This shows the server you're open to suggestions, and they might guide you to the most delicious choice.
Let's not forget what happens during the meal. You might need something extra. Maybe you drop your fork. Maybe you need more water. Maybe you want some ketchup. In all these cases, start with, excuse me. To get attention politely, then ask, could I have another fork, please? Or can we have some more water, please?
And if everything is going well and the server asks, how is everything? You can say, everything is great. Thank you.
Finally, let's talk about paying. This is where culture comes into play again. In the UK, Canada, and Australia, people say bill dot. In the US, people say check dot. Both words mean the same thing, the paper that shows how much you need to pay.
So in the UK, you might say, could I have the bill, please? In the US, you'd say, can I get the check, please? And honestly, whichever you use, the server will understand you.
When you pay, you can say, I'd like to pay by card, please, or I'll pay in cash, please. Then, when the server says goodbye, you can smile and reply, thank you, goodbye.
Before we move on, I have a question for everyone listening. If you were at a restaurant right now, what would you order?
Think about it. Imagine you're looking at the menu. Speak your answer out loud in English.
This is your chance to practice. Don't be shy, say it clearly. Add please and smile while you do it.
And remember, ordering food isn't just about getting a meal. It's about enjoying the experience, connecting with people, and feeling confident in your English.
Speaking of ordering, Mark, how about we show everyone what it might look like in real life? Let's imagine we've just walked into a restaurant in the United States.
Sure, I can see it in my head already. The place is warm and welcoming. The smell of grilled food fills the air. A friendly server approaches us with a big smile.
In our little scene, I'm the one speaking first. Good evening. We'd like a table for two, please. The server nods and says, certainly. This way, please. Here's your table. Would you like to sit by the window or near the aisle?
I answer politely. By the window, please. Thank you. Then the server places two menus on the table and says they'll be back shortly to take our order.
Perfect. Now, imagine this. My phone starts buzzing. I have to step outside for a quick call. Sorry, Mark. You'll be fine on your own.
All right, I'm sitting there, looking at the menu. When suddenly Alexander appears in our little imaginary scene.
I walk up, smiling like I own the place. Hey, looks like you're dining alone. Mind if I join?
Not at all. Please, have a seat.
Great! Oh, I love this place. They make the best burgers in town. So, tell me, Mark, any funny restaurant stories from your early English learning days?
Actually, yes, one that still makes me laugh. When I first moved to Canada, I went to a cozy cafe. The server came over and said, "What would you like to drink?" But I didn't really catch it. My listening skills weren't great yet, so I just smiled, nodded, and said yes.
Oh no, I can already see this going wrong.
A few minutes later, they brought me a giant mug of hot chocolate with whipped cream and sprinkles. Now, I'd like hot chocolate, but that day I was really craving coffee. Still, I didn't want to be rude, so I drank it all.
That's fantastic. You basically ordered dessert for breakfast.
Exactly, and I realized my nod made them think I'd understood perfectly. Inside, I was completely lost.
I get that. Once I went to a steakhouse in the US, I wanted a steak well done, but maybe my pronunciation wasn't clear. The server thought I said milkshake.
Oh no, what happened?
I was confused when a giant vanilla milkshake arrived, and no steak. I thought maybe it was a free drink before the meal. But no, that was my entire order. We laughed so much when I explained.
That's such a perfect example of how pronunciation matters, and also why it's important to check if the other person understood you.
True, and honestly, part of the fun in learning English is collecting these stories. They might feel awkward in the moment, but they make you laugh later.
Yes, and they show you that mistakes aren't the end of the world. In fact, they're a big part of how you learn.
So, why do you think these misunderstandings happen?
Well, first, when you're still learning, you might not recognize every phrase. Something like, "What would you like to drink?" can sound like one long word if your ear isn't trained yet.
Yes, it feels like native speakers are talking at lightning speed.
Second, vocabulary. If you don't know the word for steak or sparkling water, it's harder to respond quickly. Third, pronunciation. Some sounds in English don't exist in your language, so if you pronounce them differently, people might hear another word entirely.
And sometimes it's not even you. It's the noise, the accent, or the busy environment.
Exactly. That's why it helps to ask for clarification. You can say, "Sorry, could you repeat that, please?" Or, "Did you mean?" It can save you from surprises.
I wish I'd done that with my steak, but now I can say I've had the most expensive milkshake of my life.
And a great story to tell.
Absolutely. So, do you still get nervous ordering food now?
Not really, I've practiced a lot, and I know that mistakes will happen sometimes. I focus on being polite, speaking clearly, and staying relaxed.
That's smart. I think adding a smile helps too. People become more patient and friendly.
Yes, and for anyone listening, remember, you don't need perfect grammar to order food. You just need the key phrases, a clear voice, and confidence.
And if all else fails, be ready for a surprise meal.
Sometimes the unexpected order becomes your new favorite dish.
That's true. I once ordered something in Japan without knowing what it was. It turned out to be the best sushi I'd ever had.
See? Learning a language opens the door to new experiences, sometimes through your taste buds.
I like that. So, the big lesson?
It's okay to make mistakes. Every mistake is a step forward. You learn, you grow, and you become more confident each time.
Yes, so everyone listening, don't be afraid to speak up, try and enjoy the journey, including the funny moments.
Now, let's head back to Chris and Emily for the next part. But first, shall we actually order something?
Yes, but this time I'm making sure my steak is a steak.
First word, reservation.
Reservation. That's when you book a table before you come, right? Like, we made a reservation for 7 p.m.
Exactly. And remember, it can be by phone, online, or in person. Great start. Next word, appetizer.
Appetizer. Is that the small dish before the main meal? For example, we ordered soup as an appetizer.
Perfect. And in the UK, people might also say starter. Main course.
Oh, easy. The main part of the meal, like my main course is grilled fish.
Right again, and it's also called main dish in some places. Dessert.
Dessert. That's the sweet food you have after your main meal, like, I love ice cream for dessert.
Yes, but be careful with pronunciation. It's dessert, not desert. Bill or check.
That's the paper showing how much you have to pay. For example, could I have the bill, please?
Correct. Bill is common in the UK. Check in the US. Refill.
Refill? That means more of your drink. Like, can I get a refill of water?
Absolutely. Some restaurants give free refills, others don't, so it's good to ask. Condiments.
Condiment, sauces and spices, right? For example, could we have some condiments, please?
Yes. Ketchup, mustard, soy sauce, those are condiments. Special of the day.
That's the dish the restaurant recommends for that day. For example, what's the special of the day?
Exactly. Sometimes it's not on the regular menu, so asking is a good idea. Polite request.
That's when you ask for something nicely, using please or could. Like, could I have more bread, please?
Perfect. Politeness always makes a big difference. Utensils.
Utensils, tools for eating, like forks, knives, and spoons. For example, I dropped my fork. Can I get another utensil?
Right again. And in casual speech, some people say silverware in the US.
That was fun. I like this style. You say the word, I dig through my brain and see if I know it.
And you did great. You got them all.
Well, maybe I just really like food, so all these words are stuck in my head.
That's a good thing. How about you listening at home? How many did you get right? Even if you missed a few, that's fine. You can listen again, repeat, and practice until they feel natural.
And remember, the more you use these words in real life, the faster they'll become part of your everyday English.
Exactly. Now, let's move on to our final part and wrap up today's lesson.
Thank you, Emily and Alexander, and thank you to all of you listening today. What a fun and useful session we've had. Let's take a moment to quickly review what we learned. We talked about the 4 main stages when you visit a restaurant in English. First, arriving and getting a table, whether you have a reservation or not. Second, looking at the menu and ordering your food. Third, asking for something extra during your meal. And finally, paying the bill or the check and leaving politely.
And let's not forget the golden phrases from today. A table for 2, please. Could we have a little more time, please? What is today's special? And could I have the bill, please? These are small sentences, but they can make your restaurant experience so much smoother.
Absolutely. And remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just need to be polite, clear, and confident.
I want to share one thought before we end. Confidence grows with every try. The more you speak, the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Don't let fear stop you from ordering in English. Each time you do it, you're building a skill for life.
Yes. And practicing doesn't have to be boring. You can role play with a friend. One of you can be the server. The other can be the customer. Switch roles and try different situations. Or you can stand in front of a mirror and practice the sentences out loud. Focus on your pronunciation and tone.
And if you have the chance to go to a real restaurant where English is spoken, even better. Treat it like a mini language mission. Use at least one new phrase you learned today.
That's a great challenge. In fact, here's something fun for everyone listening. In the comments, tell us what you would order if you were at a restaurant in another country. Would you try something new? Or would you go for a favorite dish?
I'd love to read those answers. And who knows, maybe we'll share some of them in our next episode.
Before we say goodbye, I want to thank you for spending this time with us. Your time and your attention mean a lot, and we love knowing that we're helping you make English a natural part of your life.
And if you enjoyed today's lesson, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. That way you won't miss any of our upcoming episodes.
Share this episode with a friend who's also learning English. You never know, it might be exactly what they need to hear today.
And of course, keep practicing. Even 5 minutes a day can make a huge difference.
Until next time, keep learning, keep smiling, and keep making English a part of your everyday life.
See you soon. everyone, and happy ordering.